Well, Mr. Kola, I want to come in here because, of course, we've seen a civil war in which over 3 million people lost their lives.
Did you see the civil war?
I said as a country, not my individual self. So we've seen a lot of things in this country. But with that said, let's take a look at, you wanted to really add definition to it. You have disagreed that that arms funds were essentially not judiciously spent. You're disagreeing with what has been splashed all over the pages of the newspapers, that billions of dollars that should have gone to the war fronts were being sent for political purposes and various contracts of cronies and things of that nature. You're disputing that on national television right now. And I want to ask you now.
How do you mean I'm disputing?
Because you said that it didn't. You disagreed with Maupe when she mentioned it.
I disagree with Maupe on the issue of containment. I said
no, it wasn't on the issue of containment. You disagreed with her when she said that the money was not judiciously spent. The military funds, the weapons.
I have not spoken about the issue of money being judiciously spent or not. I disagreed with her on the issue of containment. She was trying to create a picture of PDP government, the last government. Do you
accept that military funds were misappropriated under the PDP government? Let me start there.
Ajuri, I do not know if military fund was expended on politics. I do not know. I did not participate in it. I do not know. I cannot believe, and the court has not convicted any PDP member.
Whether or not you're personally aware.
No.
I have to be able to finish my question.
Okay.
Whether or not you're personally aware, the fact remains is that these details have come out. Now, the reason why I'm going there is you said what has changed. We know that under a PDP administration, Abuja was getting bombed, lives were lost. We have not seen a single bomb go off in Abuja in the last 3 years.
Before PDP left government, we had contained Boko Haram. The PDP government had contained Boko Haram to the northeast.
But was Sambisa Forest cleared?
That's the point I'm making.
Was Sambisa Forest cleared? Mr. Kola, Sambisa Forest, was it cleared under your administration?
Ajuri, there's a report, I don't know if you have read it, that an officer who is involved in even the process we are talking about had just been killed in Sambisa. You see, when people just try to dismiss PDP government as if it came to government and start aloof and never did anything, it's painful because we are trying to forget our history. And we should not. If you talk about insurgency, is it in the character of any particular government? In Israel, as potent as the nation is, didn't they have their own experience of insurgency? Didn't they? And even the president was even comparing us, our country, in his last remark at the caucus night, said that the insurgency that is happening in Nigeria happen in other countries.
If PDP comes back in 2019, yes. What strategy, looking at all the theaters of conflict across the country, what strategy would it want to put in place if PDP
comes back to government in 2019, and we believe strongly it's going to come back because Nigerians want PDP to come back, first we will be more strategic compared to what happened while we were in government. We had seen what happened in our government. We are also watching closely what is happening in this government. And we believe that this government has not been strategic enough. So we will improve on the strategy that we use and on the strategy that this government is using.
What was the strategy you used?
Well, the strategy that we use, that's what is also, for instance, I do not believe that this government had a war room.
I'm not.
And if you look at no, we have to take
just a moment. I asked you a very specific question.
Yes.
The question was, I mean, you said you would review the strategy that you used.
Yes.
You look at the strategy that this government used,
yes.
And I'm asking you, what was your own strategy?
Our own strategy,
yes,
was to fight insurgency. First, we were the first to contain. Our government was the first to contain insurgency to the northeast, and I believe that we can wipe off insurgency from the northeast. And I say that the strategy that we deploy to contain insurgency to the northeast, we will improve on it. Because if this government had improved on that strategy, it would have been able to fade off insurgency as we speak today.
Mr. Kola, I just want to quickly ask you one question. You know, when we talk about, your party, we have to assume is trying to pursue what is in the national interest. We have to assume that because it is a Nigerian political party.
Very sure.
Now, with that said, if we know that our troops, for example, need certain equipment to be able to execute, its operation, its battle plan, then when we talk about the release of $1 billion from the ECA to ensure that they have what they need to do the job they need to do to secure all of us, why is it that there is so much sharp political division on this issue? Even within your own party, you have somebody like Governor Dixon saying security should not be politicized, but within the same party, you have other governors saying, look, this is just going to fund an APC campaign. What are your thoughts on that, and should the $1 billion be allocated for this purpose?
Our thought is very clear and direct on the issue of SS crude accounts, $1 billion. And we have said that if the government claim to have technically defeated insurgency, it no longer needs a humongous sum of funds like $1 billion.
But there's more than insurgency. We have farmer-herdsman clash. We have other issues other than insurgency.
Please, maybe you need to go back to the report. The report said they wanted to use $1 billion to fight insurgency. And our party disagreed totally with that. Then they came up again with an afterthought to now say, oh no, it's not about insurgency alone. Government does not work that way. You must have your strategy before you come to the public arena. And you don't begin to make policy somersaults and say one thing today, and when the Nigerians come up and say, what is the meaning of this? Oh, you make a quick U-turn and say another thing.
That definitely that definitely is one sound bite we'll be keeping for a very long time. But we have to thank you most kindly for coming on Sunrise Daily. Mr. Kola Ologbondiyan is the National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. Sunrise Daily continues in a moment with, of course, another view. Please stay with us.